Hey there, everyone. So I've decided to try to summarize by making one video on one topic. So I'll kind of summarize my childhood years in school, mostly elementary school for the time being. Um, Wearing this heart monitor thing right now so they can try to figure out what the heck is wrong with me, because, health problems never seem to end for anyone on the spectrum. So, as usual, I'm laying on the couch doing nothing. And there's one of my EKG leads right there, in case you're wondering. But anyway, so, I can remember first grade being bullied by one particular girl, and I won't mention what I did to her because I got in trouble for that, but, mostly I just stuck to myself, but people that constantly tormented me eventually got what they deserved. And luckily, back in those days, the cops weren't involved. It was just, go home, suspension, whatever, write up, whatever. Something simple. How things should be handled because you learn from it. You don't learn from cops. Arresting kids for stupid things doesn't make any sense anymore. Like pointing a squirt gun at someone I just recently read got someone suspended or expelled that's just ridiculous. But that's the direction the society is heading. So, with that said, all through school, mostly elementary school, I went through 3 elementary schools, mostly because we moved, but I think a lot of it had to do with me not getting along with anyone. I didn't really have any friends in any of those schools. My 3rd elementary school, I finally did get some friends. We hung out at school, but beyond school, there was absolutely no communication. I'd go to birthday parties with the one person every year, and that was pretty much the only out-of-school interaction I ever had. And to me, that was normal, because that was pretty much all I ever did. I sat at home and I had my own little garden outside, my own little city I built out of popsicle sticks, complete with wiring underground, and I would make street lights out of copper tubing, and it was my own little land, and nobody could mess with it but me. I was safe there. It did what I wanted, and it was my own safe little haven, and that's where I spent most of my time. So, as the years progressed in elementary school, the teachers were always worried, saying, does not participate, does not play with other children, don't ever raise my hand, answer questions, all that same old crap. But for some reason, they never mentioned autism. This was in the early 90s, maybe they just didn't know any better. But, eventually they picked up on a few different things. I had trouble with the letter S and one of the other letters. So I was in speech therapy for that, and I also was constantly harassed for the way my handwriting looks, and my handwriting still looks like something a 2nd or 3rd grader would do. This is my notepad. This is not how most adults write, but I can't help it. It physically hurts my hand, and that's just how it looks, no matter what I do. Cursive was very hard for me to learn, and I still don't do it properly, and I doubt I ever will. So I type most everything. Whoops. I don't edit videos, so that'll just be staying there. So, anyway, I had one person I considered a friend. Me and him hung out all through middle school. Not middle, yeah. Elementary school and some of middle school. But once we separated schools, I never talked to him again, and I still have no idea what he does or where he is. I considered him an acquaintance at school, and beyond that, that was it. When I went home, I was in my own world. I played my video games and mostly played outside. So, I had several people that seemed to enjoy bullying me. Some of them got what they deserved in the end, and I got in lots of trouble for a couple of those incidents, but I guess we could go into those at a later date. We'll leave that at that for now. But, I was always bored in class. The teachers were always teaching stupid things that I saw no point in learning, and I still don't use any of them. So, I would build paper bridges between my desk and an empty desk next to me, or paper houses, or, whatever I could think of doing, or just squiggle lines. Pretty much anything to keep my mind occupied. If we'd have an assembly, I'd have one heck of a time sitting there on the floor because we didn't have chairs or anything. It was a wood floor. And listening to them present awards or pep assemblies or whatever the heck they were doing. They bored me to death, and I had a hard time sitting still through the whole, it was probably only an hour, but it was long enough. And it was always hot. Everybody else seemed fine, but I was miserable the entire time. So I did everything I could to avoid those, but that didn't always work. And then, let's see. The noises. Yeah. This was an old school. All of these schools were. So they all had those really old fluorescent lights that everybody with autism hates, because you can hear that hum, and the hum never goes away. And then you have the clocks ticking every single second. Click, click, click. Drive me crazy. And then the other kids making noise. The chalkboard squeaks. The chalkboard squeak makes me physically hurt. So I couldn't stand that. One of my biggest issues then and now is still fabric and clothing. I still wear my socks inside out to avoid seams. I know there's seamless socks out now, but I still have some issues with those. So that was another issue. Any kind of clothing that had static was another problem. So static guard's been my friend since I've been very little. I doubt very many kids crave static guard, but I do then and now. So that's how that was. Listening to other kids read was painful for me because I could read an entire chapter in the time it would take them to read a few. I could read an entire, let's see. Now I can't think. In the time it would take them to read a few sentences, I'd read a few chapters. So I'd try to tune them out and just read the whole thing and be done with it and then just sit there and do whatever. Because they just could not read. When they tested reading levels, I was always, 3, 4, or 5 grades ahead of everybody in my class. So I always excelled at the reading aspect. However, when it comes to math, then and now, I still am horrible at it. Basic addition and math, addition and subtraction is pretty hard. Go beyond that and forget it. That's what my phone's for. So forget any kind of math with me. It's just not going to work. And then one of my very first fascinations that I can remember is there was a boiler room in my elementary school that was always open, and one day I wandered in there while the workers were there and asked them if I could look around, and these were before everybody was psychotic, and they let me look around. I don't know if I was 8 or 9, somewhere around there. And they had these tunnels that go underneath the school, which I found absolutely fascinating, and some old keys and stuff that were there. I guess it was a watchman's key. So they explained to me what all the valves and everything did, and quite honestly, it was one of the most memorable moments of my entire elementary school time. So aside from that and the very rare use of computers that we got to use, which was on a Mac, it had a color screen. I'm not sure what kind of Mac it was, but it was one of those paint programs that made funny noises every time you did something. But so, there was some good, mostly bad. I hated school, didn't really learn a whole lot, and most everything I did learn, I learned on my own way before teachers got anywhere. So that's my basic of elementary school, really, and the rest of my school year is pretty much the same, but I'll try to summarize all those later on. But I don't think at this point autism was something anybody seriously considered. I know my pediatrician at times had thought of various things like this, but it apparently didn't matter much at the time. I don't think there was really any specific treatments or any special classes or anything offered at that time. So I grew up not knowing or having a clue what autism was or that I had it. So I guess we'll leave it at that. 10 minutes is probably long enough, so we'll cover some other topics a little bit later on. If you have anything in specific you'd like to know, please leave a comment and let me know. Have a good one.